Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club. My name is James Sims. I'm on the board, and I would like to thank you again for coming out. We usually don't have press conferences this early. This is kind of early even for journalists. Anyway, I don't think our speaker today needs much of an introduction. He's been at the helm of Suntory for, I guess, over a year, since October of 2014. And he's actually kicking off our corporate speakers this year. And so I think that's fairly auspicious that we have Mr. Niinami here today. He's the president and chief executive officer of Suntory Holdings. As I said earlier, he took the helm of Suntory with the first non-family member, I believe, since the founding in the 19th century, which I believe it was 1899. And we were talking earlier in the anteroom, and today he wants to talk about, one issue he wants to talk about is the acquisition of a Beam, which was one of the largest overseas acquisitions by a Japanese company, a $16 billion acquisition. He wants to talk about that integration as well as the outlook for the venerable company. As you probably know, Mr. Niinami was also the head of Lawson for, I believe, over a decade. And he was well known there for being able to speak to shareholders and their interests, as well as the overall company. And he was very highly regarded in terms of his running of the convenience store chain. And so today he will talk about Suntory, and also in one of his other positions, he is one of the government's top economic advisors. He sits on the Council for Economic and Fiscal Policy, which is chaired by the Prime Minister, and he advises them on economic and fiscal policy. And he also heads up, I believe, a subcommittee dealing with health and welfare issues as well as fiscal issues. And we talked a bit about that earlier in the anteroom. And so anyway, without any further ado, I would like to welcome our guest speaker today, Mr. Takeshi Niinami, the President and CEO of Suntory Holdings. And he'll speak for, I think, about 30 minutes and then go into Q&A.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Kind introduction. Good morning and Happy New Year. I'm honored to be here. The press plays such a critical role in educating Japan and the world and vice versa. And as a business leader, I am grateful for your help in getting out message out to the world. I am so happy to be back here. If my memory is correct, I was here 3 years ago talking about Lawson. I hope you're still big fans of Natural Lawson. I hope you're still using. That's one of the big clients. Today, I came back here to talk about post-merger integration of Beam Suntory and how it plays into globalization strategy of Suntory Group. I'd like to touch upon, if time allows, about Abenomics and the fiscal policy. At first, let me speak generally about global acquisitions by Japanese companies. Japanese companies have often been criticized for paying too much premiums in foreign acquisitions. That may have been true in the past during the so-called bubble economy, but time have changed. Also, highly talented local people are engaged through more delegation of responsibility. This means the Japanese companies no longer aim to Japanize. That means force the Japanese way to the acquired entities, but instead harmonize both the strength of the Japanese company and of the acquired one, and share the core value from top management through rank and file. This is a huge difference from acquisition in the bubble economy times. Such core value of Japanese companies include manufacturing with commitment and dedication to the smallest details, and focusing on exceeding expectations of local customers. Let me start to talk about the acquisition of Beam. We have already started in the journey of globalization, and in 2014, we took a huge step forward with the acquisition of US-based Beam. This acquisition, totaling about as much as $16 billion, 24% premium, 19.7 times EBITDA, was certainly the largest challenge for Suntory Group, but it was the best and the only choice to create sustainable growth in the world. The price was definitely high, but we are certain that our investment was well placed. After working on this integration for a year, I am now confident that we will be able to double EBITDA of Beam Suntory by the end of 2020. We now own global route to market that enables us to deliver our combined Beam Suntory portfolio to markets all over the world. We are a whiskey powerhouse that boasts the 5 whiskeys of the world: Japanese, American, Scottish, Canadian, and Irish. This is the major point of differentiation from our competitors. Furthermore, we have more diverse and talented human resources to manage global business under the strong leadership of CEO Matt Shattuck. And Beam Suntory is off to a great start. Last year, Matt Shattuck and his team at Beam Suntory exceeded our financial projections and beat the industry average due to improving profit margin ratio and the strong US and Japan sales. In 2015, we did well in the United States, which is our most important market. We are going to increase our focus and devote more resources to the US market, and we are going to connect with more millennials so we can be on top of new trends. We were also strong in Japan, our second largest market, with our innovative products such as the Jim Beam Highball. Despite having a shortage of super premium whiskey like Yamazaki, we are now expanding whiskey production to address this issue. By the way, that's why I banned our senior executives not to drink, to drink our super premium Japanese whiskey. So I like to drink whiskey. As a matter of fact, Hibiki is my favorite, but I can't. So do me a favor, just take me to a bar. If I'm with a client or my friend, and if buy one glass of Hibiki, I can drink. So please take me. Yeah, this is the most unpopular policy I've done at the Suntory. In Europe, let me talk about in Europe. We enjoyed our growth in countries such as Russia and Germany. And finally, we are expanding our reach into emerging markets, including China, India, Central and South America. Though these markets are still evolving, we will seek to fuel growth through our unique portfolio and our marketing capabilities supported by rich consumer insights. I am confident that these markets will be the driver of growth for Beam Suntory in the future. I know the current economic situation of those countries, but we have to have more, larger footprints in those countries. In the meantime, as a corporate governance to the Beam Suntory, I and other board members appointed by Suntory are always visiting major cities to observe how consumers behave, eat, and drink. This is a key point for us to constantly discuss with local management. This is a very unique way to utilize our power of the shareholder. In the short term, we are harnessing the synergies between the legacy Beam and the Suntory operations to increase the profitability of both. On the other hand, in the long term, we must combine cultures and businesses practices in in seamless global operation. For two whiskey companies, blending is nothing new. But, of course, there is not an easy task. I know from experience. I studied in the United States at the Harvard Business School. I've done business with the US company, PepsiCo, as well as a French company, Sodexo. I have experienced how different the cultures can be. The movie, Lost in Translation, highlights the issue beautifully. You you remember the film? I love it. Especially in the scene when Bill Murray is filming a commercial. That's about the hibiki. We didn't pay anything though. With a Japanese director. Really, I'm sure. I checked with the communications department. But you remember this phrase? I love it. For relaxing times, make it the Suntory time. In the scene, the director has a very specific idea in mind. He's talking to Bill Murray, going on and on in Japanese. The translation is very vague. Bill Murray is lost, and he does not know what the director wants. Both men are frustrated. I understand. This type of situation can and will happen. Beam and the Suntory definitely have differences. But we must keep an open mind if we want to work through that miscommunication. This is not an easy task. But I'm ready for it. I'm excited to combine the best of both. I don't want to westernize Suntory or Japanize Beam. That won't work. I want to create something new and better. I want to demonstrate to Japan and the world. Suntory is a global engine for growth and change. To come together and combine the best of both companies, I strongly believe that Suntory and Beam must share our founding spirits, core values, and best practices. At Suntory, our corporate philosophy is very, very simple. We strive to, 1, always take new challenges in new areas by yatte minahare, go for it spirit. 2, contribute to our society by offering products that exceed expectations to quality and uniqueness. 3, coexist with nature and give back to society. Along with these principles, I want to share Suntory's monozukuri culture, manufacturing culture. With the Beam operation, we can add more value to this company and the products with our monozukuri process. That takes care in every detail. I want to introduce our method of teamwork through Kaizen, which is our process of constant improvement. We are in the process of introducing these elements of monozukuri and Kaizen to production in Kentucky, Scotland, and Ireland, where we have distilleries. This was not part of our integration plan at first, but now it is our biggest opportunity and an added bonus and a great tool for Beam to use to improve quality and win over customers. We can keep motivating together through monozukuri and Kaizen. These values or practices are core of Suntory. This has made our company successful for over 100 years, and they are the foundation of Yamazaki Sherry Cask, the world #1 award-winning whiskey. Have you ever tasted? I've tasted once, but it's very good. But it was not sold in Japan, only in Europe. Suntory is learning from Beam as well, especially from their global business management operation. I am taking action in other ways to ensure this transformation spreads, our cultures blend smoothly, and the Suntory Group continues to evolve. Last year, I founded the Suntory University to bring our businesses and employees together from around the world to learn from one another. Suntory University offers educational programs about the founding spirits of Suntory and our company's core values. It offers opportunities for cooperative discussion between employees in all group companies and allows them to work together. In addition to instilling the founding spirits to bring people together, we are also implementing measures to exchange talents across countries and businesses. This is actually already underway, with senior members of U.S. finance team already in action in Japan, as one of the chief officers in the Suntory Holdings headquarters, as well as senior staff members from Japan supporting Matt Shattuck in areas of finance, supply chain, and marketing. My goal is to create a global business with a global workforce that shares ideas freely and is committed to quality production and constant improvement. That will be the key to our long-term success. In the end, Suntory's approach to globalization is just like its process for making the best whiskey on earth. That takes a lot of time. We have to be patient. But we will do everything we can do to achieve a goal. We will pay close attention to every detail. We'll learn how we go. We'll learn as we go and always make improvements. We'll never be patient, but ultimately, we must give it time to mature and strengthen. As CEO of Suntory Holdings, I am excited to show Japan and the world what is possible. Let me change subject about the Japanese economy. As James explained to everybody here, I represent consumer businesses and offer my insights, knowledge, based on my experience in the industry. I see the Prime Minister almost bi-weekly to discuss national economic policy. Today, I'd like to pick up two themes in particular, economic growth and fiscal policy. Japan has been in abnormal economy for a long time, almost 2 decades. I strongly believe that we have to take abnormal measures before the 2% consumption tax hike, which will take place next year, to keep the economy rising sustainably. The purpose of Abenomics is to normalize Japan's economy from abnormal. In order to sustain the current trend of Japan's economic recovery, we must build a more resilient economy for creating strong domestic demand. To enable growth that is driven by domestic demand, Japan must address 3 issues. 1, wages, 2, labor, and 3, investment. It's obvious. These issues are all connected, just like increases in wage and employment rates will drive increased consumption. In turn, increases in consumption will drive increased investment for growth. First, let me talk about the wages. Labor's share of national income has dropped, while corporate profits are at historic highs. Companies and the governments should come together to support the people economically by raising overall new net wages. That means net wages is very important. Companies will need support from the government to do so. One way would be reducing the corporate tax rate gradually toward the 25%. However, wage hikes alone will not expand disposable household income. The government should remove burdens to disposable income, such as social insurance premiums. Currently, businesses and employees pay the premiums on average 9% on their total payroll together. Each party pays as much as 4.5% respectively. This has been rising rapidly for the past years. This is offsetting wage hike. To increase disposable income, the government must stop any further increase by wide spending of social expenditures. In addition to the reduction of insurance premiums, I want to propose that young couples should be able to rent vacant houses for nominal rates in order to preserve more of their disposable income. As a result of aging and the decline of population, we are seeing increasing numbers of vacant houses, even in the major cities. You can see lots of vacant houses nowadays, even in the center of Tokyo, because of aging and the decline of population. Instead of demolishing vacant houses, funds should be used to renovate for couples or to refashion them into nursing homes. Let me now address the labor issue. Increasing labor will stimulate demand and combat labor shortage, which is very acute in this country. There are two issues. One, how to combat the labor shortage. We can do this by supporting through three demographic groups. 1, women, 2, senior citizens, and 3, foreign workers. Women. We can bring more women into workforce by improving child care services and getting rid of the disincentives to work as a result of the two walls of 1.03 million yen and 1.3 million yen. It's hard to explain in detail, but there are two cliffs. To senior citizens, we can bring more senior citizens into the workforce by expanding the current pension system to encourage seniors to work, and promoting healthy longevity, which will also reduce medical costs. 3, foreign workers. We can attract and retain foreign workers by improving our training system and extending lengths of stay in Japan from the current 3 years to 5 years. I believe this should be implemented. After then, they should be eligible to apply for green cards. Another issue is how to create mobility in labor market. The government should change the labor laws so that the large corporations can ask their employees to leave by paying severance. Talented people at large corporations should be shifted to areas where they are needed. Pay gap between a large corporation and a small one is significant. So the government should use the fund from the special account held by Ministry of Welfare and Labor to fill the gap in pay for, let's say, 3 years. As a matter of fact, the amount reaches already as much as 6 trillion yen sleeping. This policy will revitalize the Japanese economy. SMEs need talented people, but most of them go to the big corporations in this country. How to mobilize those laborers? Investment is another crucial element involved in growing our economy. With demographic aging and the population decline, most CEOs are still understandably skeptical of sustainable domestic growth. Therefore, the government must take initiative to create demand through targeted investments in promising areas. These areas include 1, healthcare industries, such as preventive medicine and nutrition for health longevity, and 2, energy industries, such as clean energy, less carbon energy, and battery storage. At the same time, the government must lift bedrock regulations in these industries for private sectors to enter. Finally, the government pension fund, GPIF, should encourage companies to use their excess cash for optimal investment. That will drive economic growth. Also, GPIF should take a lead in ESG investments. The government should give support to the investment like tax benefit. The business to extend healthy longevity is one example of ESG investments. Eventually, this business will reduce social welfare costs. The objective of Japan's fiscal policy is to achieve a surplus of primary balance by 2020. We can do that without sacrificing economic growth. We must encourage wide spending based on data transparency to make the central and local governments efficient by bringing in private sectors. Based on analysis of government data, the Council has already found discrepancies across prefectures in budget allocation. For example, Kochi Prefecture spends per capita medical cost as much as 1.6 times Chiba prefectures. But Kochi's health longevity is far less the average, national average. This is the outcome by the input. But we have never seen this kind of outcome by input. So we have to correct it toward the wide spending. We must review outcomes as well as inputs in order to improve taxpayers' quality of life. For example, Kure City in Hiroshima Prefecture demonstrates the impact of data transparency on growth and efficiency. Kure City analyzes data to reduce the transfers of diabetes patients to artificial dialysis. This is not only good for patients, but it is very good for cost effectiveness. If more organizations utilize data, we can cut budgets, reach fiscal goals, and eventually improve the economy. Different types of public-private partnerships can be used to spur investment into public sectors and improve programs in areas such as preventative and diagnosis medicine, data health, as well as water supply and other similar public services. A final point. I'd like to stress that data transparency and outcome-oriented policy is being implemented now for the first time in the government. The reason is, one, long-term regime, and very stable. So unless we have long-term and a very solid regime like Abe administration, we can't we can't implement any policy. Take a look at the last 2 decades, especially the last 10 years. Before Mr. Abe arrived, in 10 years, we had 7 prime ministers. So we need a stable government to implement very important things. Strong resistance from the ministries prevented it in the past. Now, they don't resist. They know who will be boss and what they are. The current administration. And because of the law which passed about personal changes, which is decided by the administration, the Kante, the prime minister and chief cabinet. That is powerful to drive the current policy. The policy will lead to wide spending and bring private sectors to public services while balancing the budget. A strong economy with a balanced budget is not just a wise policy objective. It will improve the lives of our citizens. It will give us the flexibility to explore new horizons and possibilities. It will strengthen Japan's position in the world and allow Japan to contribute to global growth and prosperity. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. I'd like to take okay, please.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to questions first from the working press. If you could please state your name and affiliation and keep it to one question. If we have more time, we can go for a second round. And if I forgot to tell you, if you have your cell phones, just please put it on manner mode or turn it off. I guess we'll go Stefano and then Richard.
Careful.
Thank you for your very interesting speech. My name is Stefano Carrera. I'm a journalist for the Italian economic daily Il Sole 24 Ore. So the topics of the day in the international M&A beverage business is the selling of the Italian beer brand Peroni and the Dutch brand Grolsch. So have you looked into this dossier? If not, why? And more in general, are you interested in acquiring European continental, brands in continental Europe, maybe Italian brands? Thanks.
Thank you for asking. I love Italian wine. I love Italian food. As a matter of fact, I have to tell you. But I think I just presented a few minutes ago. Definitely, we have to concentrate on integration of the beam. The beam has already a business in Europe and Italy as well. I'm afraid to say, but Italian people don't drink bourbon so much. But definitely, we want to concentrate on this integration, let's say for at least 3-4 years, because I'm very much confident to double its corporate value. So that means we should concentrate the current integration. So the answer is we study, but we have no interest in acquiring now any other businesses at this moment.
Mr. President, my name is Richard Susilo from Indonesia, newspaper Tribune News Kompas. Previous person, Mr. Stefano, asking European, I'm asking Asia. So what is your vision and your strategy for developing Suntory in Asia, especially in Indonesia? We have manufacturing, also sales company, 2 companies you have in Indonesia. Thank you.
There are 2 aspects. One about alcohol business. Another one is a non-alcohol business. Alcohol business, definitely we'd like to expand our brown spirits business to the ASEAN countries. The consumption is still a small number. But I think such as Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, and those countries are booming. But I'm afraid Indonesia should be the one we should focus by the non-alcohol beverage like soft drink. And having said that, another part of the portfolio, which is wellness, supplements, and nutritional products, because in Asia, including Japan and China, there's a huge, strong consciousness to health longevity. So that is a huge market, or will be. So in this country, what we are doing is to do R&D, research and development toward the finding good formula like nutritional products or supplements, so forth, and in drinking or maybe in eating. And this kind of research and the new development of products will be applicable to Asian countries, because sooner or later, Asia will be under the rapid aging. Already it started, though people are young, but the rapidity of aging pace is so much more than Japan. So I think what we are doing, here to tackle the aging issue will create a new skill set to be able to market in Asian countries. Thank you.
Okay. Gentleman over here. Oh, yeah, with the glasses. Yes.
My name is Risaku Tanaka. Usually, I use natural lotion near my residence.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm honored.
This is my question. Why did you mention about GPIF is one of the government investment sector? Money in GPIF is the pension money of the people who want support after retirement.
Good question. As you may know, GPIF is not buying shares directly, but allocate their part of funds to the institutional investors who invest to buy shares, domestic mostly nowadays. And I still believe that the GPIF should lead the institutional investors of this country to make them drive toward the efficiency of its investment as a fiducial duty. And as you may know well, many Japanese companies still carry excess cash a lot. And there should be the corporate governance. But the Japanese institutional investors do not do that, because those they invested are customers as well to sell insurance, for example. So I think we need a more severe corporate governance over the Japanese companies carrying too much cash. And I think investors, like institutional investors, led by GPIF, should ask management, what would you do with this excess cash? Give us a 3-year plan. And if you need this much of cash, okay, fine. But if not, please return cash. And we will invest to the other companies with the growth potential. That's what it should be. And who should lead? Not the private sector, probably, GPIF. But I advocate that the GPIF should not exercise voting power. GPIF must maybe trust the trust funds or trust for them to use voting power, because GPIF might be criticized that the public sector can own partially, even partially, corporations. That would be under criticism, probably. So this is a kind of very complicated scheme, but definitely somebody has to lead off to pressure Japanese companies carrying too much excess cash as a corporate governance. As a matter of fact, when I was with Mitsubishi, I pressured Kentucky Fried Chicken to make 3 times as much as dividends, because they showed the plan, 3-year plan. But they finally showed us no need of the use of the excess cash, and we voted with PepsiCo to increase the dividends 3 times, and we used that to the other investments to get the higher returns. So that means excess cash should be spent, but the government has to create the demands domestically, because Japanese companies might use the funds overseas. So the government has to collaborate with the private sectors to create the demands, like preventive medicine industry, for example. Thank you.
You don't think it's risky, do you?
No, I don't think so, because there are good staff members already by now, like Mr. Mizuno and people from outside. So staff is now very capable.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Are you working press? Okay, please.
Hi, Niinami-san. This is Monami Yui from Bloomberg. I have a question, a little bit related to the Peroni question. What's your view on, you talk about a lot of beam business and also whiskey business today, but what is your view on global beer industry with the Anheuser-Busch, InBev, and some Miller deal shaking it up? And also, what is your prospect on your own beer business?
Okay. I think the event that AB InBev and SB Miller both got merged, that is a big event to the old CEOs, not only the beverage, but also any industry, because that's a huge merger. That company will occupy as much as 30% of the market share in the world. But the segment is standard beer. Suntory has a skill set and experience and the knowledge on the premium beer, like a craft. So considering segmentation, we have a competitive edge in the craft and the premium beer, like the premium malts and Master's Dream. Our strength comes from the craft and the premium beer, which is not the asset of the new company, as a result of the acquisition by AB InBev. And in addition to that, I think we have 2 options. One is to seek much more economies of scale. The other one is to be different, unique, other than the other competitors. Definitely, our choice is the second one, together with Beam Suntory. So our mission is always to differentiate ourselves from competitors by bringing in unique products. So not only, the competition is not driven by only economies of scale. So our mission is to make Beam Suntory very different from other competitors. So that's my mission. That's why I stressed that the monozukuri and the kaizen. As a matter of fact, that's the most important factor to create value to the acquired entity, i.e. Beam Suntory. And that's our strength. That's why we could achieve the #1 whiskey. We could get the #1 prize by from the Yamazaki sherry cask. We just make use of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I guess I did have a follow-up then. In terms of Japanese corporate governance, it seems like there's really not much incentive for Japanese institutional investors, especially when you have cross-shareholdings, even though they're declining, to put pressure to try to get them to improve the profitability. And whereas the foreign investors are probably much more short-term overall. So how do you balance that, and how do you change the incentives, for the Japanese corporate and also institutional investors to try to get them to, improve the profitability and also to get the companies to do something with the excess cash?
Well, that's why I said the 3-year plan. It's not the quota. It's not the 1 year. Midterm plan should be very important, and that's a kind of midterm vision of the company to create a value. It's not the short term, but short-term results are very important to demonstrate to shareholders. It's very important, but based on midterm plan, short-term results are made by management. So always the governance is not to check the short term. Well, it's very important. Having said that, the outside board members have to check always, a midterm plan and implementation based on midterm plan. If the market changes, the midterm plan should be altered, but it's through discussion at the board. So again, I think this is a challenge to shift toward the midterm. That's why I mentioned ESG investments led by the GPIF. Always in business, we have been talking about measures to bring business toward the midterm oriented or long-term oriented. So that's always a challenge. And again, I think Japan should lead midterm and long-term investing to the world, but we have to make the model. So the key point is how to monitor by the outside board members. And again, that should not be short-term, just like a 3-year plan.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ken Moritsugu with the Associated Press. I wanted to ask you about the merging of the cultures of Suntory and Beam that you talked about, and what you see as greatest challenges. We often think very broadly about stereotypes, like Japanese companies are consensual, Americans are more top-down and direct. But what have you found, are there any examples, to be the greatest challenges that you see going forward in trying to achieve this?
That's a great question. Simple answer is short-term and versus long-term. And that comes out of the compensation scheme. And plus the career path, career aspiration. In this country, basically just like Suntory, people tend to stay. They don't quit, though your boss is terrible. Because you have a very long-term vision, you just know maybe someday, somehow, a new boss will come. But, for example, at Beam, compensation is based on short-term result. So which means they tend to avoid the investment to long-term implication. And but their career aspiration is just like this. Maybe 3 to 5 years, you just did this and that, and then you just want to find another job. If you can't find a better job at the same company, you just find outside, right? So 3 to 5 year career plan versus long term, as well as compensation scheme is based on 3 to 4 year career aspiration. The total system is that comes from the culture or ritual and the customs and how to merge. We want to retain good people, but we have to create positions. Sometimes we have to ask people to leave, but those people are good still. So what to do? So there is a discrepancy between two systems. So I don't have solution yet in my hand. But at first, definitely we have to recognize differences like that. Career aspiration and time horizon. And I'm now challenging. But manufacturing needs the long term. So based on the Monozukuri and the Kaizen, I will challenge to change compensation. It's not the Japanese style, but kind of mixed style, long term and short term, both. But that's a challenge.
Ken, was that? That's fine. Okay, very good. Sorry, are you working press or? Oh, go ahead. And then I guess we'll go back to Stefano.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My name is Erol Ahmet. I have a small research firm. I'm also editing for a specialty trade magazine. I tasted both Yamazaki 12 years and Hibiki 12. Superb. And actually, there's a store in Ebisu that carries 12 years Yamazaki, which is very difficult to find. It is very actually difficult to find a Japanese whiskey overseas because of the limited numbers. And there's a high premium. First question, why there is not an attempt to actually export more Japanese whiskey? There is an Asian problem, but assume that doesn't there. Second, given that Japanese whiskey are so popular and highly regarded in terms of commanding high premiums, why there are no small entrepreneurs? They will be competitors to you, of course, but popping up around Japan, setting up distilleries and making Japanese whiskey and exporting overseas. Your opinion, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We started to export more Japanese whiskeys to overseas markets. Gradually, we've been increasing allocation. But there's a huge demand in the Japanese market as well. I think we are eating shochu and maybe to some extent beer. So there's a huge demand. Maybe you know Matsan. Well, I would tell you, even before Matsan TV program, we had huge demand coming up to the our whiskey. And plus, we haven't produced almost a decade ago because we had a huge slump of sale of our whiskey. So we sold a cask to other countries, and we dumped some production facility. So limited the supply. So I'm wondering how we can allocate to overseas markets, and U.S., Europe, Asia. That's my headache. Always this is zero sum, and less and less supply in the coming 2-3 years. So that's a good question, but I will increase allocation to overseas markets. Second, there's a huge entry barrier to produce whiskey. First of all, you need a lot of cash because cash is sleeping more than a decade, right? So it's a huge barrier. Another barrier is brand. The brand is not built, established overnight. So that means that this is a huge, capital expenditure-oriented business. So that's a entry barrier for entrepreneurs. But that happens in the U.S., right? Craft bourbon, craft whiskey. If you buy some liquid from a supplier like Suntory, you can, make a craft by using the cask. We call it finishing for a month. You can make a craft bourbon, craft whiskey. But there's no supply of liquid from anybody in this country. So you can't make a craft bourbon, craft whiskey in this country. That's why we don't see quite a few entrepreneurs to start. But there are some small players, but very small, or only exporting to other countries, putting Chinese characters.
Okay, thank you. Stefan.
Let's try to give good news to Suntory employees. After listening to your speech, I'm tempted to write that Suntory for sure will be among the most generous companies in Japan in raising pay for employees. So, would I be correct in saying that? And how much are you prepared to raise to comply with your vision of, macroeconomic needs for Japan? Thanks.
Thank you very much. And I have a bold plan to increase as much as 3% on average. But I have to tell you, it's not the base up. Well, to some extent, I have to consider. We have very strong union, so I have to negotiate. But I'm talking about on average revenue, annual revenue. It's not the base up. And management should have right to decide this person did great. Well, another person is not, good performer. So we have to give the meritocracy, but on average, 3%. In addition to that, we'd like to strengthen the support program to those who have children. So that's our policy. So it's not, everybody can get the 3%. Somebody gets a 5%, somebody gets just 1%. So that's the way it is. I think that's the policy. So it's not the free lunch.
Okay, I think this will probably be the last question. Are any other questions from the working press? If not, we'll open it up to other members. Okay. Maybe we can squeeze in one more. We have about 5 minutes, but we have to end right on time.
Okay. Hello, my name is Norbert Polonovic. I'm from Hungary, and I'm a professional associate member here. In many ways, your company orchestrated the boom in recent whiskey consumption in Japan by widening the consumer range in offering the cheaper highballs to izakayas and women consumers as well. And in many ways, you are to blame on the over demand on the high-end whiskeys as well, which I'm also suffering from because I also like Hibiki just like you. I would like to ask if your company is planning something similar with any existing product in your portfolio, namely to extend or to change the consumer bases or the consumer groups where you're offering the product to. I'm thinking of brandy, for example, in which you have a similar portfolio to your whiskeys. You have lower-end products as well, cheaper products, and super premium products as well, or any other product where you think of creative strategies to generate demand in the market. Thank you.
We have pretty much of a comfortable portfolio. We have almost everything. Blondie, we have cognac, Crevenger, which is number 3 in the world. And we have shochu, everything. And in that sense, there's no intention to buy any brand from anywhere. And if I talk about the brandy, it's a challenge in this country because brandy itself contains a lot of sugar. And why highball is so popular? The reason is, less content of sugar. I mean, healthy. So everywhere, healthy consciousness is booming. It should not be booming because of aging society. That requires something to appeal to you for your health consciousness. So just a little bit drinking of brandy is good, but wine is still potential, especially red wine will be more potential in this country. And beer, we offer, no sugar content beer, for example. As long as it tastes good, we can sell more. So we might appeal to consumers with the products like more appealing to their health consciousness. I think that's important even. But people want to drink alcohol anyway. So we have to work on R&D more. Thank you.
Okay, sorry we've run out of time. Mr. Niinami, I guess, has a very tight schedule, so we have to end right at 11. But as is our usual custom, we would like to give you an honorary membership, and thank you. And I believe we do have Hibiki in the bar.
Okay, that's good.
So that means you will have to come back, and that one will be on the house. You can have, I don't know what years that we have, but anyway, thank you very much, and this is our honorary membership. Thank you. Thank you. And if you could, please stay seated while Mr. Niinami leaves. Thank you.